Good evening and welcome to the Daily Report. Tonight, the counties are under magnifying glass, and later on the marketplace, we're going to be discussing SACCOs with the Cusco Group Managing Editor Arnold Munene. But first, let's take a look at the highlights. Tonight, county governments are on the spot following revelations by the Auditor General of dubious dealings by county governments and private revenue collection companies, leading to losses of billions in taxpayer money. Also tonight, families of the Kware victims swarmed the city mortuary in search of their kin after reports emerge of plans by the county government to dispose some bodies from the city morgue. And you have until 9th September to submit your views on a proposed bill that seeks to dictate how protests, demos, and other public assemblies needs to be conducted.
These are proposals which should be put in this draft for us to enrich this draft and ensure in future we'll have organized demonstration where no lives is lost.
Welcome once again to this live broadcast. My name is Hibaq. On sign language interpretation tonight is Catherine Simaloy. To start us off, Kenya has so far reported 4 confirmed cases of Mpox, but concerns still exist that the virus might spread further following rumblings of a strike among healthcare workers who decry delayed salaries. Elizabeth Atieno now reports.
Nakuru County is the most recent county to record an Mpox case on the 31st of August 2024. And now, the health department at the Nakuru County government maintains the situation has since been contained and that there is no new Mpox case reported in the county.
The only patient that we have is one that is isolated in our isolation center in Nakuru referral hospital. Is that 7-year-old male who is a truck driver.
Watu wote walikuja kwa karibu na huyo mgonjwa wamewatrace na wamekuwa tested.
So far, Kenya has reported 4 confirmed Mpox cases. However, this low number is no comfort following concerns over the spread in Mpox in light of the looming paralysis of health services delivery in some counties like Nakuru and Kisii through the threat of a strike. The strike fears emerged from county health workers decrying the alleged neglect by the county government following delayed salaries.
We have a problem with salaries. We've worked for 2 months in this county and we've not been paid. Tumelipwa ya 1 month, of which I believe hiyo pesa yote imeenda kwa madeni. You find one nurse managing like 40 to 60 patients.
I've been working day and night and there is no allowance for laboratory. Other cadres, they have the allowances.
In Kisii County, the doctors, clinicians and nurses have issued a 14-day strike notice as they urge the county government to work with speed and implement the signed memorandum of understanding.
Arbitrary transfers is one of the things we signed the return to work formula for. Number 2, there are 3 clinicians who have never been paid for the last 25 months.
We are giving actually the county government of Kisii a notice of 14 days. Kindly honor the memorandum of understanding signed.
Elsewhere, clinicians through the Union Secretary General George Gibore have maintained that the hospitals and healthcare providers are not well prepared to curb the spread of Mpox should an outbreak occur.
Na sisi tunataka kusema kama wahudumu wa afya hatujapendezwa kwa sababu hawajaweza kuhamasisha wahudumu wa afya ambao ndio wanakuwa kama ndio soldiers wa kuweza kupigana na magonjwa haya.
Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that. Human rights activists and members of the public are calling on the government to come up with measures that will put to an end the dumping of bodies along River Yala. This is after the body of a teacher who had been reported missing was retrieved from the river, even as the family of the deceased is trying to come to terms with their loss. George Maringa tells us more.
Grief and shock engulfed the Siaya County Referral Hospital mortuary as bereaved family members and friends gathered. It was a day that was preceded by a post-mortem on the body of the late Nicholas Kipkorir, whose body was found in the Yala River after he was reported missing for 17 days. Ngetich, who was 29 years old, was a teacher at Emalindi Girls High School in Kakamega County, where he had worked for about 4 years as an employee of the Board of Management.
As relatives, we are so saddened, and we are appealing to the authorities, especially the security, to beef up, especially around the school and also around River Yala.
Joshua Otieno from Haki Kwetu organization has decried the recent events while pointing an accusing finger at security agencies.
Security agencies in Siaya County, we are saying that a time has come that they should come out and make sure that the security of the people around Yala, and also to come out very clearly to tell us what is happening here and there again, because we are seeing many of the bodies which are being found in River Yala. They are coming from outside Siaya County.
According to a fellow teacher, Cornelius Chumba, the deceased left his rural home in Kuresoi South on the 10th of August to go to work in Kakamega but failed to return home. Chumba reveals that the efforts to find Kipkorir were unsuccessful, with only a few of his personal belongings found near his house.
And his phone and wallet found at a separate place in the same compound. So this suggests probably that this person who left involuntarily. There's something that floated on TikTok, and there was somebody being retrieved. Being in contact with my colleagues, and did ask them if they can rush and get to view the bodies, if they belong to the missing person. The team which came, around 3 teachers and a friend to the school, positively did mention that the results were positive. They belong to the missing person in question.
Chumba, who joined the family to witness the post-mortem, claimed that his friend did not die in the river, but that he was allegedly killed elsewhere and his body thrown into the river.
We are laying him to rest tomorrow. As far as the outcome of the post-mortem, which has just been conducted, the preliminary thing is that this guy did not drown. This is not a voluntary caused death. This is somebody who was killed elsewhere and dumped at the River Yala.
The government to make sure that if there is such incidents like the one that we are now talking about, the body must be found and the family be known. Like now, as we speak, we have we have a body at Yala which is yet to find the family.
We learned of the boy through social media, and as relatives, we are so saddened.
George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, George. Kenyans have been invited to submit their views on the Assembly and Demonstration Bill of 2024 that seeks to give effect to the provisions of Article 37 of the Constitution on the right of any person to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition public bodies. In a sit-down with Muige William Mbere, North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku, who sponsored the bill, maintains the bill seeks to achieve organized demonstrations where no lives are lost or property destroyed, firmly disputing that the bill intends to infringe the rights of Kenyans.
Geoffrey Roko, representing the people of Mbere North constituency in the National Assembly, is the man behind a bill that has elicited mixed reactions in fear to suppress their rights. The Assembly and Demonstration Bill, currently at the public participation stage, follows months of the Gen Z-led protest whose climax was the entry into Parliament buildings where scores of Kenyans were shot dead. But why now? And Roko's response was,
we have seen violent armed demonstrations which are not peaceful, which are unarmed. What I'm just saying is let's do demonstrations as much as we can, but let's be peaceful, as Article 7 says. Let us not be armed, as Article 7 says.
In the raft of proposals, ROCO proposes a requirement for members of the public who want to convene an assembly or demonstration to inform the police of the intention to assemble or demonstrate at least 3 days before the protest. Also, the organizers to provide full names and physical addresses of the mobilizers, the proposed date of the protest and the time of the protest, which shall be between 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening.
We want to see a nation where demonstrations are done, and in case property is lost, life is lost, people are injured, businesses are destroyed, either the state to pay for the damages or whoever is responsible for organizing demonstrations which are violent, which have turned to be riot.
The bill further proposes that police officers will have the power to impose conditions on the organizers of the protest, in addition to possible penalties including fines of up to 100,000 Kenya shillings and a potential of jail terms for those convening protests with no or adequate notice, unknowingly contravening or failing to comply with the notice of condition to which an assembly is subject to.
Let's be organized. Let's not be archaic. And a society which is anarchy thrives, where we think anarchy will solve all our problems. Problem will never end in our society.
Kenyans have until the 9th of September to submit their views on the Assembly and Demonstration Bill of 2024. But will their views count? That will remain to be seen at the end of the legislative process. Moige William for TV47 at Bunge Towers, Nairobi.
Thank you, Moige. The Office of the Auditor General, Nancy Gathungu, now wants a comprehensive audit to be conducted on all companies used by counties to collect revenue. Gathungu is concerned by the possibility of millions of taxpayers' money being lost through those companies and the failure to declare the amounts they collect in counties. Gathungu has further urged the Senate to work on pending bills, asserting that fiscal indiscipline has contributed much towards the huge pending bills in the counties despite the late disbursements. Our senior political reporter Elizabeth Mituku tells us more.
The County of Meru.
Appearing before the Senate County Public Investments Committee, Auditor General Nancy Gathungu has raised fears of loss of taxpayers' money through firms which collect revenue for the counties through their failure to disclose the amount they collect as revenue for counties, with the committee insisting of the need to audit the companies to avert more losses.
Let's go back to what does the law say? And how do we curb this proliferation of so-called revenue service providers and these changes that keep occurring as and when? You have some counties, for every revenue stream has a different revenue service provider. That is wastage of resources.
This comes even as the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, proposed change in public laws in order to tighten the knot on revenue collection in the counties to curb the loss of public money. Further, the Auditor General has echoed Nyakango's call over the many commercial bank accounts used by counties in what she believes to be ways to siphon off taxpayers' funds.
A way that the auditor will, maybe the audit process will be faster, then you can actually be able to access it, like on a quarterly basis, and then allow us now to come in and then introduce the new amendments.
We now have established bursaries, and they are giving bursaries to secondary schools, and I thought secondary schools education is under national government. So now you have a problem, and I'm very glad that we're having a national conversation now on affordable education and how to minimize all these bursaries. They are quite a number. So I cannot say that 2 are enough or 3 are enough. It will depend on the situation, but more than 10, it's too much.
On the question of perennial pending bills in the counties, Gathungu insists that physical indiscipline on matter of pending bills is creating a loophole for some of the unscrupulous officers to benefit from public coffers.
In terms of delayed disbursement,
And putting in mind as a finance committee, we ensure that we are very timely. Now then this, Madam Auditor General, then results to commercial loans by the counties. Then further to that, there's the issue, of course, of the audit. What's your take as far as this issue of commercial loans are concerned to the counties?
Will the control of budget stop at the vote level and then approve? Or should they extend to analysis of the procurement documentations? Or should the procurement documentations then remain a question of auditor at a time of audit? I think that's where I wanted to get clarity on.
Deducting pensions and other statutory deductions and not paying. So we are borrowing from our employees because we are diverting those deductions for use for other operations. And now we are borrowing from the suppliers in kind. They provide us services, they provide us goods, we don't pay. So pending bills, in my next summary, I'll put it as part of public debt.
Yeah, you've told me, but now...
Elizabeth Mutiko, TV47, Nairobi.
Right. Shortly after the teachers' strike was halted, students and teachers went back to school and resumed to normal routine as the teachers prepare the candidates for the national examinations this year. However, teachers feel that some corporate national leaders were coerced and don't trust their grievances will be addressed in tomorrow's roundtable talks with TSC. Anastasia Mukabi tells us more.
Immediately after a short notice to end the strike, teachers resumed and learning continued as usual.
Saizi wakati union imesema kwamba mkomo umeisha, walimu wamerejea. Kama kuna mmoja au wawili watatu wanne wanasukua kwa tatu matatizo yake ya kibinafsi.
Some schools have even started to prepare their candidates for the national exams.
As the academic programs are concerned, we are already set for term 3, we've already put in place all the necessary measures.
However, a section of teachers feel betrayed after they were asked to resume their work through the media.
We would be back to work, but at least there was need to give the indicators of the calling off of the strike, which was never done. It was brought to the teachers' attention from the media.
Some teachers feel that their Secretary General Akelo Misori was coerced into calling off the strike, the teachers demanding his resignation.
Held on Saturday, we knew that actually our views are going to be considered, but apparently we were sold. As teachers of this country, we were disappointed, we were not having him, and we feel, basing on his age factor, he should resign and go home. We get the teachers to represent who knows the pleas of the teachers.
It is yet to be determined via tomorrow's negotiations whether teachers' issues will be fully addressed, since most of the teachers expressed willingness to once again march and fight for their rights. Anastasia Mkabi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Anastasia. Families of the victims of the Kware killings earlier today arrived at the city mortuary in search for the bodies of their missing kin. This comes one day after the president of the Law Society of Kenya, Faith Adhiambo, alerted the public to plans for the disposal of bodies at the city mortuary by the county government of Nairobi.
Is this an attempt to cover up for what truly transpired in Kware?
One day after the Law Society of Kenya President Faith Adhiambo claimed that there are plans for the disposal of bodies at the city mortuary, families of victims of Kware murders arrived at the city mortuary to identify the bodies of their missing kin.
And I dare say it's also quite unfortunate that we now see that the Nairobi County Council wants to dispose of the bodies that are at the city mortuary before identification.
We have reports from LSK and others, reliable reports that the county government of Nairobi is planning to dispose of the bodies that are here.
According to human rights activists, the disposal of bodies in city mortuary by the government is an alleged plan to cover up for the Kware murder case. Vocal Africa's Hussein Khalid claims that the government is trying to cover up for the mysterious murder of 42 women whose bodies were discovered at the Kware dump site.
The question we are asking, is this an attempt to cover up for what truly transpired in Kware? Why is there so much haste in wanting to dispose of these bodies? The county government must tell us who is behind this decision to dispose of these bodies. Why are they pushing so much?
The human rights activists stated that no bodies should be disposed until they are positively identified by their loved ones. They further argued that Kware killings mystery has not been solved and the bodies should remain at the morgue for investigations to be completed.
Why have they suspended the retrieval of bodies from the Kware? What is the objective of the county government of Nairobi in ensuring that we can confirm the identity of these bodies? Why are they in such a hurry?
The president of the Law Society of Kenya on Tuesday evening insisted that nobody should be disposed when there are missing persons who were abducted and are yet to be released by the government.
Because we never know if these are part of the bodies that may end up being disposed. And so as the Law Society, we are urging the courts to remember that they must protect the people of Kenya.
Samira Mohammed for TV47.
Thank you, Samira. Tonight, President William Ruto has kicked off a high-level diplomatic engagement to campaign for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's candidacy in his quest to succeed Musa Faki as chairman of the Africa Union Commission. The president, accompanied by Odinga, met 7 African presidents, 6 of them from the Francophone countries, on the sidelines of the ongoing Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in Beijing, China.
Our former Prime Minister.
President William Ruto led a high-level diplomatic engagement with his fellow heads of state and government in Beijing, China, to campaign for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga in his quest to succeed Musa Faki Mahamat of Chad as the next African Union Commission chair. President Ruto, flanked by Odinga, Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and his Principal Secretary Dr. Korir Sing'oei, as well as Kisii Governor Simba Arati, among other government officials, drummed up support for Odinga as a Pan-Africanist, a champion of integrated infrastructure, and a leader committed to peace and security on the continent. According to PS Korir, all the presidents pledged to support Odinga's bid. Wednesday's back-to-back high-level diplomatic engagements were crucial for Odinga and Kenya as they focused on the West African bloc, days after the East African community threw its weight behind Odinga's bid in Nairobi. Kenya is keen not to make this an Anglophone versus Francophone divide, but a Pan-African interest-driven agenda, with PS Korir saying many countries recognize Kenya's continental contribution across a range of sectors and its ability to project a stronger Africa on the global stage. With Odinga set to deliver a keynote speech on infrastructure during the forum on Thursday, President Ruto is said to have implored his colleagues that Odinga is best suited to steer reforms at the African Union, terming his leadership as effective, knowledgeable, and full of experience. Odinga's main rival, Mahamoud Yusuf of Djibouti, is also attending the Beijing summit in a high-stakes diplomacy offensive ahead of the February 25th vote. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo. Now, the government has set up plans for Kenyans traveling overseas to work in the home care management sector to receive practical-based training, a move that will see the caregivers achieve necessary skills that will attract employment opportunities overseas. Speaking at the National Industrial Training Authority in Mombasa, Cabinet Secretary for Labour and Social Protection, Dr. Alfred Mutua, has urged Kenyans to embrace the move, which will streamline identification and protection, making sure agents and trainers earn a living. However, Kenyans have been challenged to embrace professional labor migration. Elsewhere, NITA is committed to ensuring best practices and standards when training and certifying caregivers.
The system of labor migration in our country has been facing many challenges, mostly made of bureaucracy, crooked actors in the industry, and lack of trust. So my main aim is to streamline how the training is done, to streamline the identification of people going overseas, the protection, and also ensuring that the agents who are recruiting are also making money. The trainers also making money. So I've been listening to their challenges, and I'll be calling a meeting in Nairobi soon to lay out new procedures, new ways of operating, to ensure that our people are well trained to go overseas for many jobs. Let them have a house that looks like where the people are going to work. Unaamka asubuhi, unaenda kitchen, unapika chakula ile wanakulanga, unapepea meza vizuri, unaenda unafua nguo vizuri according to the machines they found in Saudi Arabia or in Dubai or in Kuwait or in Oman or in Austria or wherever you're going, so that life skill is very practical. It is not based on pictures that utaenda utakute kwa namna hii, so that by the time they're done with the training wameiva kabisa, and they'll go plug and play, and then Kenyan workers will be known to be the most efficient and the best in the world, because they are. It's only a matter of empowering them. We want our young people to go overseas and work in many sectors. We don't just let them going to work in the home care area. They can go to home care, but want them to go as engineers, to go as doctors, as nurses, as teachers. I want them to go as ICT specialists, as hospitality players.
All right. Remember that you can always interact with us on our socials at TV47 News on Facebook, at TV47KE on X, formerly known as Twitter, and at Hibaq Said. Moving on, the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD Chairperson Professor Simon Gisharu and the KICD CEO Professor Charles Ongondo have commenced on a journey to review the implementation of the 2020 to 2025 strategic plan. KICD CEO says that the council is set to look at the challenges and come up with a new strategic plan that will align with the bottom-up economic agenda and input economic challenges facing the country at the moment.
The main task we have during these days is to review the implementation of the 2020-2025 strategic plan. That means we are looking at successes, we are looking at the challenges, we are identifying what we could do better. But next is to consider a strategic plan for 2023-2027. The reason is to align the new strategic plan to the bottoms-up economic transformation agenda, the rallying call for the new government, and of course to input other parameters that have come in, the developmental socio-economic challenges that the country is facing. The council has graciously accepted that we can also take time to look at some policies that have been outstanding and which are critical to enhance efficiency of the Institute's mandate, and this will include the educational broadcasting policy, the audit charter, and also look at the complaints. How do we arise as a result of matters that are Edu channel? So we want to thank Council for finding time off their busy schedules to be able to do this. We are getting guidance. The Institute will be on the right trajectory to make progress.
All right, let's take a very short breather, but when we come back, more news. And as I've said earlier, we do have the Group MD of Cusco, Arnold Munene, who is going to be telling us all about SACCOs. We want to know why you're either in it or not in it. A short breather, we'll be right back.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Welcome back to the Daily Report and welcome to the Marketplace. Tonight we're going to be discussing SACCOs. Now, a lot of individuals are signed up on SACCOs, but we do see sometimes that the youth are not taking it up so well. We know that most of our parents are in SACCOs and they use it to save a lot, but we have been seeing some changes in that particular area. This night, we are having the Cusco managing director, who is just going to be telling us how exactly Cusco is doing and how SACCOs are doing in extension. Have Arnold Munene with me. But before he even introduces himself, let's take a look at what had happened a little bit earlier with the Cabinet Secretary for MSME Development and Societies and Cooperatives, sorry.
And 67 million and 75 million to various insurance agencies that were purported to be offering insurance business. There were also heavy and big cash movement from Cusco accounts to their staff accounts. And this amounted to over 285 million. There were also inter-subsidiary transfers and also movement of money from the main account held at Cooperative Bank to other accounts. The operation of Kusasa, which is unregulated, yet they are offering regulated services. They are neither registered as a FOSA or a microfinance. Irregular accounts have also been opened for some of the agencies, and the bank accounts are not also indemnified.
All right. Those were pronouncements made a few months ago by the former Cabinet Secretary for MSME Development and Cooperatives pertaining Cusco, which is an umbrella body for SACCOs. And today we do have the Managing Director of Cusco, Arnold Munene. Arnold, welcome. A lot of people want to know a lot of things about SACCOs, but I believe before we even delve into the future, we should know what happened in the past, right? So what exactly were those pronouncements about? What are the changes that we've seen in Cusco so far?
Thank you very much, and much appreciated to be part of this conversation. Cusco is a union of all SACCOs in Kenya. It's an association that is in charge of all the financial cooperatives in Kenya. We stand in a very core position where we advocate and we give SACCOs technical and financial services. I agree. The information that you've shared is information that has been there in the public domain, but I just want to reiterate and mention with a lot of commitment to our members that yes, Cusco, we have been going through challenges, and those challenges have been addressed.
Right.
And looking at what has been happening is, one, we've had a change of the board. We have an interim board that is there for 1 year,
right.
Which is coupled with a technical team that is working in revamping, revitalizing Cusco because of some challenges in terms of governance,
right.
Which we have been addressed as we speak. Because right now we have some trajectory and payment and not payment plans. We have a turnaround strategy that we've put in place,
right.
And I can of course share with you
right.
What we've done and
right.
what we are planning to do.
Arnold, this is a new beginning for Cusco. We do realize how important SACCOs are right now, considering that we are seeing a lot of economic challenges. And of course, banks are financial firms that people do usually go to, but SACCOs are more homely, they're more family-oriented, more community-based. What are some of the things that you've seen in your tenure in Cusco pertaining, the community aspect of SACCOs?
I'll tell you that SACCOs are basically community-based. SACCOs are institutions. In fact, I'll just tell you, SACCOs is just an acronym of savings and credit.
Yes.
They are not for profit. Members join together, common bond, same interest. They'll come together, pool resources together, on lend to one another. Because, in our economy, we have members who, in terms of their savings portfolio in terms of their income.
Right.
They are low earners. So they come together, they pull their funds together, they on lend amongst each other, and then now they give out credit on affordable rates,
Right.
and they share profits at the end of the year.
Right.
So these co-guaranteeing each other, where even Mama Mboga, where he sits, even a boda rider
Right.
can take a moment and get financial support, credit, without even producing a title deed
Right.
or being asked, what do you own in your house? Because I have you, I have another brother, and we come together and lend to each other. That is the spirit of the
Right.
cooperation and cooperatives, so that we bring out that cooperation among cooperatives, that people can come together, pull funds, or lend amongst each other,
Right.
and uplift themselves socially and economically. And that is the point, and that is the spirit behind the cooperatives.
All right. And we're seeing, as you said, you know, they're pulling funds together with an asset base of more than even $1 trillion shilling. The former Cabinet Secretary, Simon Chelugui, was talking about tripling this within a year because, you know, he was so passionate about growing this. Where exactly is that going so far? Of course, I know you interact with a lot of these SACCOs. Are they as, you know, positive about these changes? Where is it going right now?
If you look at the size of our SACCOs in this country, I just want to tell you, SACCOs is one component of cooperatives.
Right.
We have several cooperatives. We have marketing cooperatives. We have agricultural cooperatives. We have consumer cooperatives, housing and investment. But now SACCOs are financial cooperatives. The largest cooperative
Right.
in this country has an asset base of 64.3 billion, which is Mwalimu National.
Right.
Actually, it's the largest cooperative in Kenya, in Africa and in Kenya. Followed by Stima SACCO with slightly above 53 billion, and then Kenya Police for the police force with around 48.6 billion. Now, cooperatives have come together. And to answer your question, how we have accelerated the savings and the deposit growth is that cooperatives have also adopted technology where now they are encouraging even the youth, the Gen Zs, that we are now moving from the old, our great-grandmother's model to a model where we are not going to look at the banking halls. We want you to be a SACCO member from your house. That you can join a SACCO,
Right.
you can register as a member through digital platforms, you can save, you can borrow, you can repay your loans, and you can also get information because now SACCOs have started engaging with their members so
Right.
that they accelerate the capacity building so that members get the financial literacy and they know what is the need and why should I save in a SACCO.
All right.
One thing I'll tell you, allow me to just digress a bit and give you some good stories.
Right.
I've talked about the three largest SACCOs
Right.
in Kenya and in Africa. I'll tell you, in Africa, we are ranked the best in terms of the cooperative movement. In the world, we are ranked number 7.
Right.
That tells you how huge the cooperative movement is in Kenya. As I am telling you about these big SACCOs, 2 weeks ago, we were going around the counties, and I got 3 unique cases that I would want to share with Kenyans today.
Right.
One is a case in Nanyuki. Nanyuki, they have a SACCO of bodas.
Right.
Those boda riders, they are saving 50 shillings. 50 shillings a day. These 50 shillings and the number of members they have come together, they have aggregated that and they have an estate in Nanyuki,
Right.
where they have constructed 2 rooms for these bodas. And they have 60 units. That tells you 50 shillings. And I'm happy the conversation we're having about the Hustler Fund.
Right.
That it tells you that 50 shillings can be brought together slowly, and it can give you a house.
All right.
Moving on from Nanyuki, I'll take you to Western.
We're traversing the counties.
To Western, there is a SACCO that has brought together villagers, different villages, women, men from businesses, poultry farmers, livestock farmers, and what they have done
Right.
is that through their savings, they have been able to start dairy farming. They have bought cows. Through cooperatives, through the savings they have, the loans they have, they have started poultry farming. And those are the conversations and the testimonies that you want to hear.
Right.
Let's go to Mombasa. You've gone to Mombasa, you've seen those craftsmen, they have curios, they have cabins. So they are SACCO, they are a cooperative, marketing cooperative. They have aggregated these cabins. They have looked for a showroom.
Right.
They have decided, let us sell our cabins in this one showroom so that we have a better bargaining power. And then all the proceeds that we get, we remit to our SACCO so that we can also uplift ourselves and even do more and bigger things.
All right, Arnold.
That tells you how good these things are.
Right. But we do see that some of the, subscriptions and memberships are going down. We will be discussing that in a bit. Remember, you can send us your question on our SMS line 22047. Our WhatsApp number is going to be on the screen. You can also reach us on social medias at TV47 News on X, at TV47KE on Facebook, or you can send them to me directly at Hibaq Said on all those socials. Now, as I was asking, of course, the membership has gone down. We are seeing that SACCOs are not as trendy with the youth. Gen Zs maybe are not, they're not connecting with it as much as our parents did, as much as the older generations did. Why do you think this is?
I'll say this. I will tell you that the numbers are not going down. We have 14 million cooperators right now, Kenyans who are members of cooperatives. But I agree we have opportunities of bringing the youth to our space. What cooperatives have done is, number one, we have understood what attracts the youths. One is our identity. I do not want to relate or associate with a SACCO that used to be in the name of my father's fathers, those old days, because youths want to be identified with institutions or things that they can relate to. Number two, after SACCOs have rebranded and they have come up with products and services that are attractive, that they meet the needs of the youths, they have gone ahead and done a lot of capacity building just to get the youth understand why SACCOs. And I'll tell you a statement that you will agree with me today. There's one thing that money promises you. Save me today, I'll save you tomorrow. The youths and the SACCOs have now embraced technology. That today, because the youths are always in their phones, in their computers, in internet, so SACCOs have got into that space. That they're telling you, you don't have to come to our branch, you don't have to come and fill papers. You can join our SACCO through our online platforms. You can save, you can borrow. You don't have to meet me physically. I am there for you. And that's why in this space of cooperatives, we have to tell the youths that young man who has a movie store, that young man who has a car wash, that it is okay. You can grow that business from a car wash to a garage. You can, the creative industries, we laugh, we're happy, and we can come together and you come up with a big industry when you pull yourselves together in the spirit of cooperation, because you might not have the assets, but you have the muscles to save a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Then you lend to this other person. That's why cooperatives, we have this spirit of co-guaranteeing, that I'll guarantee you that in case you don't pay me, your co-guarantor will come in and pay off the loans. So that brings in that freedom and that openness and that inclusion that we can propel the youths to greater heights in terms of...
We will be delving into the digital aspect of SACCOs a little bit later, but first, maybe something that's a bit more pertinent is the fact that, there was a pronouncement by the former CS once again, Simon Chelugui, talking about having a joint base, a central base, like in the banks, in order to ensure that all SACCOs can co-borrow. How is that working out? Is that an initiative that's still ongoing? Are we going to be seeing that in the future? How is that building up?
That is basically what we call a shared services platform, where SACCOs can bring in their pool of savings together and lend to each other, like what the banks will do overnight lending.
Right.
Now, as Cusco, let me talk about the union. We have had a product which is basically a SACCO for SACCOs. And what that product is to do, and what it's actually doing, is we pull funds from SACCOs, small SACCOs, monthly basis. If there's a SACCO that has a financial constraint, you don't have to rush to any mainstream financial institution because the interest rate might be very hefty.
Right.
So you come in and borrow from a centralized pool of savings that you've gotten from SACCOs, and then you on lend to your members, because the thing and the most pertinent thing is service to the member.
Right.
That you don't have to get a member coming to your doorstep as a SACCO asking for a loan, and you're telling them, oh, wait,
Right.
give us time, we'll give you in tranches. We want to build that confidence to our members that SACCOs are safe, convenient, affordable.
Right. Now, you've brought in a very interesting aspect. When it comes to banks, a lot of people now might say, I'm already a member of a bank. Why exactly should I even go to a SACCO? I can borrow from a bank. I know this bank. I've been interacting with it over and over again. And also, when you're going into a SACCO, there are all these, stages that you must go to. You must get people who can vouch for you, guarantors even. What is the main difference? How exactly are SACCOs either more convenient or less convenient than banks?
SACCOs, as I said, they are member owned. They are in fact, the model for SACCOs is very unique. That you are the owner and you are the member,
right.
or rather the customer. So the owner means that you've bought share capital, you own ownership in the SACCO, and as an owner, you have a say. One, in terms of governance structures,
right.
you have a voice, one man, one vote.
Right.
Two,
right.
you'll be called for an annual general meeting where you're going to discuss the audited books of accounts. You look at how your savings were spent, the loans you gave, did you make profit? If there were surpluses that you made, well and good, you will share equally. You will be able to access affordable credit because you also determine the rates at which you're going to be given credit. When it comes to even leadership,
right.
you as a member, you have the powers to make decisions. Who will lead and who is going to take ownership in terms of leadership of your SACCO.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is you are coupling as the member, as an owner, you are making decisions, you are critiquing your books.
Right.
And you can even direct and you can even remove and dismiss the board as a member. You have the right.
Right.
So, but in this other side, it's a bit complicated and again, it does not allow everyone because SACCOs also allow membership voluntary. You come in voluntary, you can exit. There's no one who's going to push you. And it's something that brings the community spirit which we are trying to drive. So that is majorly the difference between this other side and the SACCOs.
All right. Arnold, you just mentioned auditing and now, we have to go to your house, Cusco.
Yes.
Right? And there were issues that were raised by the former cabinet secretary, systematic deficiencies in managing of finances, unreliable records, high cash withdrawals of almost 5.4 billion, high cash transfers. These are things that happened a few months ago, and I'm pretty sure that it tainted the image before you even came in. How exactly are those issues being solved? What are your SACCOs saying? How is Cusco faring on?
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, Cusco is now on a recovery trajectory. We are revitalizing, we are bringing reforms. I want to take this opportunity first to thank the government for giving us a standalone Ministry of Cooperatives. Over the years, we've not enjoyed that space.
Right.
And I want to confirm that we have goodwill and a lot of commitment from the Office of the Cabinet Secretary.
Right.
the office of the principal secretary, the office of the commissioner, and we're working with the regulator. In the SACCO sector, we have a SACCO Society Regulatory Authority, so that we bring in regulations to the institutions. So the reforms we're trying to bring is to tighten and our governance structures. We are also looking at the issues of our financial management, issues of our bylaws. We want to review them so that our policies are also in line, coming up with a strategic plan that is in line with the core mandate of the institution. What we want KUSCO to do is to stand and redefine our role as advocates for SACCOs. We advocate for an enabling environment, policy, legislation, issues of taxation, issues of non-remittances from employers, so that when we speak as KUSCO, we are speaking to the heart of the member, because all these things are geared towards enhancing service delivery, safety of funds to our members, and that's why we have come up in terms of revitalizing even our product offerings. As much as we're trying to redefine our advocacy, we want also to bring our product offerings in terms of trainings. We also include governance. KUSCO will be a center of governance. Like other industries, if you become a board member of any SACCO or any insurance company, you have to go through a training on governance before you are fully accepted into those boards. So KUSCO, we want to have that culture in the sector where anyone who is elected in board positions, you go through a governance training, whether it can be an open book exam or anything. We would want to inculcate that good corporate governance so that we can give confidence to our Kenyans and to the public that the shilling that you're saving in a SACCO is safe.
Considering that, Kenya has one of the worst saving cultures, in the continent.
Yes. Allow me just to go back and just mention a few things. KUSCO, again, we are also doing a statutory audit so that the information we can get to the core and to know the financial position that we are going through. We have an international firm that is doing that. We're also doing a forensic audit through PwC, which is going just to give us the position, and so that we have statistics and data that we can stand with. That's why today I cannot give you conclusive, because we have some audit that is ongoing, and within 60 days we are going to have an engagement with our members so that we can share with them the progress we're making, the reports, so that we can move together. But I'm happy. I've gone round to all the regions. We have engaged our members. It's part of our recovery, so that we also show transparency and accountability and openness in this story. Because what KUSCO does, even the primary SACCOs will also adopt. We are a mirror of the primary cooperatives and SACCOs in Kenya and across the continent.
All right.
Yes.
Arnold, the Kenya Kwanza government has been big on cooperatives and growing cooperatives, because I even remember when Dr. William Ruto was becoming the president of this nation, he did say that cooperatives is something that we've abandoned, considering they used to be used to run so many things, especially in, mashinani, remote areas. Now, when it comes to these cooperatives and even cooperative movements, would you say that in the last 2 years there has been significant changes? How exactly are cooperatives and even SACCOs, pushing the Kenya Kwanza, agendas? Is it, a dream that's coming to life? It's been 2 years. Is it coming to fruition?
Yes, I'll say that the dream is coming to life because we've seen cooperatives in value chains. Like dairy cooperatives. I'll just say, for example, my old mom at home, who's a retiree, she has a few cows, and every morning she'll tell me I've taken milk to our dairy cooperative for cooling, processing, and then, it has grown. It has not ended to the point where we were using the old traditional way of cooperatives, but we have already accelerated, because the value addition in dairy farming even in agriculture, where cooperatives are giving members the inputs, they are assisting them in the farming, the planting, the harvesting, the processing, the marketing, a whole value chain. And I believe the government, in terms of agriculture, in terms of housing, we have so many housing cooperatives that have, I've given you example of a border, that housing, as we are trying to align ourselves with the government agenda of affordable housing, cooperative is contributing significantly in that. If you look at financial inclusion, SACCOs have done that. We have gone down to the least, the mama mboga, so that even the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, I believe cooperatives are living to it. And this is why the government has always mentioned and given statements that cooperatives are the engines of transformation. This is a community because we are dealing with the least or the lowest in the pyramid, and we are bringing them up. In a spirit where we are telling them it is okay. You don't have to have anything. We just need to have the spirit of cooperation, and you can make it in life. We have, and I'll tell you, I have had testimonies that we have converted tenants to landlords. There is a SACCO for women here in Nairobi that has enhanced their members. It has given loans to those women and their own fleet of buses here in this town. Doing major things and big things. And those are testimonies that we want to share to Kenyans, that it is possible. And the government is in support of these initiatives. And we are looking forward as KUSCO to promote, to make sure that Kenyans and SACCOs have a conducive environment for them to thrive and grow.
All right, we will be talking about that even further. You can send in your questions. Let's go on a very short break. We'll be right back.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind. where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
And welcome back to the marketplace. I was just going through some of your feedback. Let me just read a few for you. Good evening, you guys. Joshua watching from Kisiland. Hi, Joshua. Hope it has come there as it is here in Nairobi. And a question, of course, for Arnold. He says, congratulations, Arnold Munene, as you steer Cusco and in extension the cooperative movement as an enabler of societal empowerment. Josephat Muigai. And then we have another feedback. Why are some regulated SACCOs closing down due to misappropriation? For example, Metropolitan and Musco. This is Kiprop from Eldoret. And then someone else asks, hi. What's the percentage of dividends and interest rebates which Cusco gave to its members last year? That's Jashon. So I think we'll start with the first one from Kiprop asking, why are some regulated SACCOs closing down due to misappropriation?
Thank you very much for that good question. I started off by saying that some of the challenges that we're facing in the SACCO sector and the cooperative sector is all revolving about governance.
Right.
And I am happy today to say that the government has an initiative, not an initiative, just to make sure that it cleanups the governance issues through the regulator, through the commissioner's office, through the PSA's office, through the CSA's office, and through even us as the players in the cooperative sector.
Right.
One good thing to note is that there's an amendment of the Cooperative Bill 2024 that is awaiting the Parliament to just go through and pass. And that bill speaks of governance and oversight, accountability. So I am encouraging and I'm trying to push and request the parliamentarians when this bill comes to your table, please let us accelerate the passing of this bill because it's going to clean up and to clear the issues of governance in our cooperatives. That has been something that has been happening, and that's why I said, as Cusco, we would want to have a center of governance because we can have very good rules, very good regulations, but it starts from you as a person. Honesty, transparency, accountability. Can people believe in you? That's why I told you SACCOs are good because they make decisions. Members choose their leaders. And when they're doing these elections, they should be very keen. Who are we bringing on board? Because they're going to take care or oversee the finances and the operations of our SACCOs. So that is going to be sorted out through the Cooperatives Amendment Bill 2024. The oversight is going to be tightened through the structures that will be there in the bill.
All right. Arnold, let's just focus on that bill for a minute there. The Gen Zs wanapenda kusalimiana, especially when they hear that there's a bill that's going to the floor of Parliament. Now, this particular bill, maybe if we could just look into regulations and policies steering a lot of these SACCOs, what are some of the changes that would be anticipated if this bill comes to effect? What would be the consequences if it's not taken into effect?
I would just look at it in the consequences if it doesn't take effect, because even Gen Zs, what they are looking for is accountability. And the bill is looking for accountability. And in fact, one of the things that we would want to encourage the youth to get into and the leadership of the cooperative movement is to encourage the youth to take leadership positions. Let them be part of the leaderships because they would want to associate and relate to institutions that they also lead in. And that's why we are pushing and we are asking SACCOs, let's see how we can transition, accommodate, and have the youth join this, the cooperative in terms of leadership. So I'll agree with you and tell you that the Gen Zs will be very happy because this bill is progressive. It's going to sort out some inadequacies that are there that needs to be sorted in the progression of these cooperatives going into the future.
Let's just look at misappropriation again once more. Now, of course, those are huge plans that could curb a lot of misappropriation within these SACCOs. And you have said that it is also an initiative of the people within these SACCOs to vote in people that they do trust, right? However, what are the low-hanging fruits that, Cusco, for example, can help with in order to ensure that the cases of misappropriation is taken out of the equation so that there could be more memberships taken up in different SACCOs?
One of the things is through our advocacy. We need to speak out. We need to share with not only the leadership of SACCOs, but even the members. What are your rights? What are the red flags that you would be able to identify when an institution is going through financial challenges? What rights do you have as a member that you can stop it and you can whistleblow? You can go to the regulator, their complaints desk. You can come to Cusco and we can be able to sort it out through other agencies and make sure that we protect the funds, because one of the greatest things that we want to accomplish is the confidence levels. It is for the members to trust that SACCOs are the engines, are safe, that you can grow with them from grass to grace.
All right. Now, we did take some of the views of Kenyans from, different counties. We wanted to know how people interact with SACCOs and what they've been going through, and these are some of their grievances.
Nimekuwa kwa SACCO nyingi katika idara ya bodaboda, lakini tukakuwa na changamoto ya kwamba tukiingia kwa SACCO unagarantia mtu mwingine wa bodaboda loan anatoroka. Sasa hivi tukakuwa na hiyo changamoto ya kusainia watu wa bodaboda.
Na nimekuwa kwa SACCO kwa muda mrefu. Niliingia kwa SACCO mwaka wa 2016 na nimekuwa nikifanya biashara, kuwekeza kwa SACCO. Lakini sasa kwa muda huu nimekuwa na changamoto mingi zaidi kwa sababu nimekuwa nimesainia watu 3 ambao wamefanya nikatwe pesa zangu mingi. Sasa changamoto ambayo nimekuwa nayo ni kwamba mimi nikihitaji zile pesa zangu ama nikihitaji loan pale kwa SACCO siwezi pewa kwa sababu already sina shares kwa sababu zimekatwa. Naomba kama tunaweza pata njia mwafaka ya kuendelesha hizi SACCO, tungefurahia sana kama wafanyabiashara, kwa sababu kama mtu anaweza jisimamia yeye mwenyewe ni vizuri kuliko kusimamiwa na mwingine. SACCOs huwa wanakata tu shares za wenye wamegarantii. Hakuna jambo lingine ambalo wanafanya.
It seems that some Kenyans are not very trustworthy, and that is bringing a lot of problems. And as I said earlier, for a lot of SACCOs, you can't just register. You need someone to, vouch for you, and maybe that person would need you to be a guarantor, to even out the odds, and then it ends up being an issue. They've taken a loan, and now you're the one who's going to be, paying for it. How exactly do you think that this can be changed, knowing that Cusco, is an umbrella body for a lot of these SACCOs?
You're spot on. What you've said, you're spot on. And thank you. Na ningetaka kuongea na Kiswahili ndio tuweze.
Yes, please.
Pole sana kwa sababu nimesikia my fellow cooperator amesema kwamba haamini kwa sababu kila wakati ni kukatwa shares.
Right.
Huyo hata angesema anaanguka, SACCO inaanguka nayo. Lakini the foundation of the guarantorship model ilikuwa kujuana.
Right.
Kama mimi nakujua, I know where you come from, I know your character, mimi nakuwekea nasema huyu, mimi namjua zaidi. Kama maneno itafanyika mbaya, mimi nitamshughulikia, I'll pay this portion. Kwa sababu pale kwa guarantorship, you take a portion. You don't take the entire, you take a portion. Because ukiangalia wale watu wa bodaboda, na rafiki yangu ameongea vizuri sana, ni hawezi kuwa pengine wako na zile assets ambazo wanaweza kwenda kuwekeza kama security ama collateral. So lazima watumie mwenzake ndio waweze kuandikiana that mimi nataka kuchukua 1,200, lakini out of the 1,200 utaniwekeza ama utanigarantii 50,000.
Right.
So it's about trust. But SACCOs have also gone ahead and said, if you have enough savings, you don't need guarantors. Your savings can guarantee you.
All right.
And again, other SACCOs have also gone ahead. They are telling you, you don't have to get guarantors. If you have a collateral, a title deed, it is okay. You can place it. And the fundamental is, let us have the cooperation so that we don't move the spirit of cooperatives to be a bit stringent and it does not speak to the grassroots person, the common mwananchi. Yes.
Now, I want us to go to this question from Jashon. He did ask, what was the percentage dividends and interest rebates with which Cusco gave to its members last year? Dividends is very, it's a touchy subject. So please tell us.
Dividends is actually enticing. And when members join SACCOs, apart from getting affordable credit, enjoying benefits of seamless services, financial literacy, and all those things, there is always that interest on members' deposit and dividends.
Right.
Now, for the question you've asked, and for the member who has asked, I've mentioned that we are going through a statutory audit, which is going to give us our financial position for 2023. So once that is done, the question will be answered. But for now, the audits are still ongoing.
All right.
Yes.
So you said 60 days, right?
2 months at most, we'll be able to get an audit report and we'll be able to share with our members.
Now, I do realize that even amidst all of these, one would say challenges, amidst all of that, there's still going to be, Kenya will be hosting the 2024 SACCO Congress, which is Africa's largest annual financial cooperative event. And Cusco is collaborating with ACOSCA and the government to host over 2,000 cooperators from 42 different countries. And we know that Kenya is the leading in terms of cooperative matters and SACCO matters within the continent, and we are above, average internationally. What does this mean for us? We are hosting this particular conference. What changes are we going to be seeing?
Thank you very much for that good question. Kenya is hosting the largest financial cooperatives event dubbed SACCO Congress 2024. SACCO Congress is going to bring together 2,000 participants, professionals from 44 countries, and we expecting Kenyans, cooperators, professionals like in Kenya to bring as many cooperators as possible. Now, this conference is going to happen on 6th to 12th of October in Naivasha, Nakuru County, and some of the highlights that we expect from this conference is we are going to expect a 15 ministerial delegation from across Africa. This is the first of its kind that we are bringing in ministers from different countries to come together in one table and discuss on progression of our cooperative movement, best practices, areas of partnership. The number 2, we'll have our head of state, His Excellency, our President, will be the chief guest of this SACCO Congress, where we're going to invite internationals who are going to visit our country. It's going to put us as Kenyans in a global map that we are going to show the world. Cusco being part of it in collaboration with the government and ACOSCA, that we are going to showcase to the world the muscles of the cooperatives in Kenya and in our continent.
All right.
We expect this convention, as part from benchmarking and looking at the pillars, because the convention is going to look at the 4 pillars of the Sustainable Development Goals,
Right.
people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership.
Right.
Every day we're going to be discussing on those pillars. We'll have 12 pre-conference workshops. These are like clinics,
Right.
areas of leadership, areas of servant leadership, areas of governance, ICT, cyber security, so that we impact knowledge, best practice globally, so that we can have a cooperative movement in the world that is progressive, that handles the members' financial needs,
Right.
and brings members socially and economically.
All right.
I'll tell you from the statistics from work, we have 400 million cooperators globally. And this is huge. And that tells you we're getting cooperators or credit union experts from US, they're going to be with us. Canada, they're going to be with us. Germany, all of them are going to be in this country. And it's going to spur our tourism sector.
Yes.
So foreign exchange, I'm even happy for Nakuru County. It's going to be a boom. I'm happy for that Mama Mboga, the taxi driver, the hospitality sector. We are going to enjoy. And this is something that Kenya, we are very proud. And we are happy that we are hosting this massive financial event for cooperatives.
All right. This is the 24th edition, right?
Yes.
And it's going to be hosted within the country. In as much as, Cusco may be having some issues that are being dealt with, what difference is this one going to make, especially for the SACCO and cooperative scene within the country?
Thank you for that good question. One of the things that Kenyans cooperatives are going to benefit is the networking. The networking between our cooperatives and our international practitioners who are going to join us. There are cooperatives that have been very progressive in the United States, big, massive. We want to borrow the best practices.
Right.
How can we innovate and bring our SACCOs or our cooperatives to a level where everyone talks about it in the house?
Right.
How do we, in terms of innovation, technology, sharing knowledge and sharing the best practices. So we expect our cooperatives to learn from the best. And that is one of the things that we want to foster through this Congress. And having the ministers from different countries, having our president gracing the occasion shows the commitment that the government has in putting cooperatives in the map as the engines of bringing all the better transform. Okay, it's called the bottom up transformation agenda for the government, so that we bring everybody on board, so that we can uplift and economically we bring because I'll tell you, 30% of the national savings come from the SACCOs.
Right.
That tells you how huge it is. And I would wish to see the Hustler Fund now formalizing into our cooperatives, because we are proved, we have a track record, and we are trying to tighten all the gaps and loopholes so that we bring trust and confidence to our members.
All right. This sparks my curiosity a little bit. As journalists, we always want to know what's happening next. Would this be a good place where the government is going to be announcing the joint base that, the former cabinet secretary was talking about? Would this be a place where SACCOs are going to be, connected in ways that they've never been connected before? Should we maybe think that maybe there's going to be a joint base that they're going to be sharing? Would that be a possibility?
That will be a possibility. That is what we're looking forward to have the government through this ministerial event coming up with a declaration of this is what we want for the entire continent and globally. I'll tell you, we are lucky that UN declared last year, 2023, International Year of Cooperatives. So we are going to have 2025 as the International Year for Cooperatives, and that's why this conference we have aligned ourselves to the Sustainable Development Goals of the 3 P's I've mentioned: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnerships. And that is what we want to drive in this conference.
We're getting feedback here from Kisumu City. Charles Assemble is saying, I'm happy that I just registered as a SACCO member today. I have the feeling that ours will be prosperous going into the future. Clearly, people are very hopeful right now. Where do you see the SACCO movement going in the future? Some people may be naysayers. They would say maybe, you know, we're not going to be having SACCOs in the next, 5-10 years because the youth may not be very open to them. Where do you see the future of SACCOs?
At the future of SACCO, I'm seeing the youth taking over the SACCOs. We have created very powerful engines in our cooperatives. And I am also looking at our number of membership from 14 million to almost half of our population. I would look at areas where, like in infrastructure, like in terms of roads, our cooperatives should take over. In this economy, they can run the infrastructure of this country. We don't have to borrow as a country. Cooperatives can come together. They have the muscles. The trains that we have in electric trains in future, these will be babies that cooperatives will hold. And this is what the future holds, because we want cooperatives, SACCOs to be a household name. That today my daughter, who is 3 years, she will learn, because SACCOs have now come in to tell people that you can start from as little as 3 years in a junior savings account. By the time you get to the age of Arnold, you'll have learned that saving is part of life. It's a tradition. It's something that you need to do without anyone asking you. And that is a culture that Kenyans we need to adopt, that saving small shillings, 50 shillings, 20 shillings, it is good. That's why I said one thing that money promises you is you save me today and I'll save you tomorrow.
All right.
Yes.
Now, you've thrown a wrench into the works, and it's quite interesting that you'd say that. Would it be possible for cooperatives to even bid for government projects and partake in those government projects? Because now I'm seeing people would be interested in going into the, SACCO convention in Naivasha. Would that be a possibility where cooperatives now take up as a group projects and even, go ahead to do them?
Yes.
Cooperatives could be tenderpreneurs.
Thank you. Thank you for that good question. In other developed countries, cooperatives have taken up those infrastructures. That the government, you can see hospitals are owned by cooperatives. Look at the infrastructure, roads. Cooperatives are taken over. They have a kind of a partnership with the government, so that the government can take advantage of the sector, the aggregation of savings from SACCOs and the surpluses they have. They can promote those projects. I'm looking forward to a day we'll have an Ushirika referral hospital owned by cooperatives. And with the subsidized health charges, that I will go to a hospital and say, this is my own. I go to a school, this is a cooperative's, this is my own. I go to Standard Railway Gauge and go to Mombasa and say, this is a project that is owned by the movement. And that is where the future holds for us.
All right. Now, what would you say to Kenyans who are watching you right now as we wrap up this particular conversation, especially considering that we're going to be having SACCO in the near future? What would you say to Kenyans?
I would want to take this opportunity to invite all Kenyans and all cooperators to join us in the 2024 SACCO Congress that is going to be held from 6th to 12th of October in Naivasha, at Naivasha Resort in Nakuru County. We are expecting 2,000 professionals from 44 countries, and we're expecting to have a conversation around SACCO's best practices, how we can uplift, innovate, and this is going to be the best financial cooperative event that Kenya has ever had. We are going to be in the global map, sharing with the world what we've done, and sharing the heritage of our country. So I want to invite all cooperators to join us. Let's meet in Naivasha and share for the days that you're going to have the convention, and we're looking forward to have all of us join in this convention. For registration, they can register through our social handles at Cusco, in our Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. They can also go to ACOSCA website, www.acosca.org, and register. We are encouraging all Kenyans to join.
All right, Arnold, before we even wrap up, there's a last-minute question coming from Jashon. I would love for you to answer this in the least amount of words possible. He says, what steps does the government and Cusco take to ensure that members of SACCOs which go under don't lose their savings? Is SASRA strong enough to regulate SACCOs the way banks are regulated?
Yes, SASRA is very strong, and thank you for that question. It's very strong to regulate our SACCOs. We have seen a lot of changes, a lot of accountability in SACCOs, a lot of growth. And I'll give my brother some confidence that in SACCO Societies Act 2008, there's a provision for deposit guarantee fund, which is the best practice in the banks. If a SACCO fails, there is a buffer, there's a cushion. We want to operationalize that provision so that even members can be confident that in case there is a problem in a SACCO that it goes down, at least there's a cushion and you can be given part of your savings so that people do not lose their money. That will give confidence.
Thank you so much, Arnold, for even joining us this night. We were talking about SACCOs. We have demystified a lot of issues, and we've gotten a word from Cusco that went a bit mum after, the cabinet secretary disbanded its board, and we will be following up on that even more. But for now, it's good night from me, Hibaq Said, and of course the producer and director and everyone who has been a part of this particular bulletin. Have yourselves a very lovely night. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, we're done.